Well, good morning, everyone. This is the Knox County Commissioners, November 4th, 2025. We have Case Virgil and Lisa Lloyd with us to talk about the One Ohio opioid funding applications. And so we'll turn it over to you ladies to educate us.
Okay, why don't you go ahead?
So I have some handouts for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody else can run. 20.
Honey, do you need one? Yes, please. Absolutely.
There we go. We have enough for everybody, so.
Thank you.
So as you know, Knox County has been given some of those opioid settlement dollars. They have been sitting for a while, and we wanted to work with you all to create a process to distribute those out to organizations in the county who are working to help families through the opioid crisis. And you had kind of decided that you wanted to do your first round of grants to be focused on children and family supports. So back in August, we opened up a grant cycle to the county. It was run underneath the Knox County Foundation's grant portal, just because we already had one that was available online that people were familiar with. So we just created a separate application process through that. And it was open through October 10th, 2025. We had a lot of interest in the community. We had a lot of questions, but we ended up having 4 applicants who completed the full process. So there was an expression of intent process first, where they had to just tell us what they were going to apply for, and then we would allow them to complete the full application. Everybody who completed that expression of intent was allowed to complete the full application. So 4 people or 4 organizations completed that fully. And in front of you, you will see 4 different organizations and their applications, their amount that they requested, an abstract, their goals and objectives, and then what the funding will be used for. So we put that all together for you to so you would have a concise summary of each of those applications. And we believe that all 4 were worthy of funding. And I think Kay can talk a little bit more in detail about some of the applications if you don't mind, but we do believe that all 4 were worthy of funding, and we want to present those to you to potentially fund with those Knox County settlement dollars.
So the 4 we're looking at, they win because they finished the application? Am I hearing that right? Or
No, I mean, I think, I'm just saying that 4 did complete it, but based on our review, we think that they are worthy of funding, correct? Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, not just because they completed the application.
Right.
All of them had detailed conversations with us ahead of time about the proposals that they wanted to make, so they did a lot of research and.
Yeah, it sounded like a minute I won by default. You know?
Sorry, no, that's not what I'm. No.
Maybe to reassure you that it's between the Knox Foundation, United Way, our board, all of us have experiences with these organizations being able to manage funding and grants applications. And I will say, so we have worked with Touchpoint, we have worked with the Knox Health Planning Partnership, with Knox Public Health, directly with managing the HRSA grants and other levy dollars and other federal dollars and state dollars. And I believe you've done some other work too with.
Yes, I've worked with all 4 of these.
So we can say from a standpoint of their capacity to be able to manage this and manage it correctly. It's one thing for an organization to write an application and say, hey, we want the money, please give it to us. It's another thing for an application to request funding and to have history and understand how to use those dollars. And we believe these organizations can use those dollars well. Each one of them has its own unique way of approaching the same issue, similar sorts of outcomes, which are to stabilize families and children and to assist with the impact that addiction has had on the kids and families. If you have individual questions about any one of these, we would be happy to answer those questions.
Are any of the 4 repeat recipients?
This is the very first round, so none of these are recipients for these dollars.
And I will tell you, I'm thinking about the HRSA grants and the other funding that we've had with these folks in the past. The only one that could be a repeat, but it's not directly with this population, is probably Dr. Barquette's work. Currently in both Licking and Knox counties, our boards fund him and his group to provide specialized care and treatment for first responders, law enforcement, EMS, firefighters who are experiencing trauma, particularly complex trauma as a result of their service to community and need specialized services in order to be able to heal from some of the things that they've seen in their lives. So Brian is well known in law enforcement. What he does is been well, it's been very successful to the point that Knox Public Health has invited him to join them and has provided him an in-kind space in this county to ensure his presence. So I can say that his understanding of trauma with families and with others is very reliable, and he's an expert. So
People will possibly be confused by the applicant Knox Public Health and then Knox Health Planning Partnership. Can you give a good definition so that those not knowing how they're separate? Because
Yeah, I can show. So Knox Public Health is essentially the county's health department, as you know. So they run all of the clinics, and so yeah, they are just the county's health department. Most people really know who they are because they're up in Gilchrist. They also have a downtown presence. Knox Health Planning Partnership is a nonprofit entity in the county that is comprised of multiple representatives from organizations across the county that are focused on a wide variety of health topics throughout the county. They are the organization that runs the community health assessment, and then they implement the community health improvement plan. So it has representatives from the Knox Public Health, but also organizations like the YMCA, United Way. I sit on that board. We have a commissioner on the board. MHR is on that board. So there's just a lot of representatives that work together. So they're just a collective entity focused on the health issues of Knox County, but they don't actually have visible building or anything like that.
It's collaborative. I will say to the strength of all four of these applicants, they really understand what the needs of the community are. They've done their homework. They have some data to demonstrate. Obviously, they have some data that demonstrates need. But they also are presenting evidence-based practices that they know have worked and been successful other places. So, I mean, they've really taken their time to understand that this is something that they think is going to work here. And they give their reasons as to why. They're very accountable, I would say.
Yes.
And these dollars, commissioners, we've had decided to hold these at the $25,000 mark. Really was to kind of test the waters to see how these, what kind of results we get. And then there was obviously funding then to either come back to something that we see as working and needs additional funding, or if other organizations come forward, we have funding to allocate those dollars as well. Because I think, forget when we met, we had, was it 300 some thousand?
That was shortly after we were.
Yeah, so we're looking at about a third, allocating about a third of it out right now to get going. So I think we're good there. And I think obviously thanks to both of these ladies, but Lisa in particular kind of took this and we used the model of the foundation to allow the grantees to apply, because we don't have a grant software here. So that really allowed it to be done professionally and in a quality manner to collect all the data, get the organizations, and they're obviously used to applying through that portal, so they know as well. So that, thank you to Lisa to allow us to do that, and to Jeff for allowing that, Jeff Scott, to allow that to be done as well. So we appreciate that.
So something to think about moving forward is maybe not to rush for a second round, but to see how these work. Because one thing to consider is these are 1-year projects. And if there is something that works really well in the community and there's no other available funding source, these projects may come back to you. And if you have limited dollars, then you want to make sure that you have enough, or you may decide that one of these projects doesn't work and you might want to look for something else. But just to give yourself some space to be able to see how this works, since you are testing the water for the first time.
So the thing that sticks out in my mind, as we've had plenty of talks about, is the $25,000 doesn't spread far, does it? I mean, can you get much done with 25,000
You
these
would be
days?
surprised.
Really?
I think you would be surprised. Now, to that point, I think it's Knox Public Health mentioned that their full program was actually 34,000, but they were requesting the full 25,000. I think that was Knox.
so.
One of them. But they had a plan about how they would match the remaining funds that we needed for the project. I think that's an excellent point, and I think in time to come, you may decide that 25,000 is not enough, that you would like to extend more funding to or a larger range of funding possibilities. But as a beginning, this gives you a little bit more control to decide what it is that you want and what you would like to see, what outcomes you would like to see obtained as a result of this funding.
So we can gauge the success and then decide
Yeah,
where we want to put future funding.
absolutely.
And it helps them also get their feet wet a little bit before, because they may look at their own results and see it was better to go this direction with the
Yes.
money than another direction.
Absolutely. This is the most flexible way that I think Lisa and I know how to do this.
Right.
In our own experience of being funders and doing this in the past.
And they are required to complete reports every 6 months, so I can share those with you so that we can monitor their progress. And maybe at that point, they can tell us that this isn't working or this is working really well, but we might need a few extra dollars, and we can have those conversations at that point too. So it's not something that we just look at the end of the year and say, oh, this didn't work or this was great, but they need more support.
I can tell you, I think we're very happy with you guys vetting and running this
Yes.
program.
Some measurable results at the end.
Yep,
And
you'll
we'll
see it.
know how
Yeah.
successful certain aspects were, and then we can decide from there.
Yeah.
Correct.
I think you will find each one of these four will be things that you can really say, well, we're really happy that we did this. I know that when Lisa and I talked, we wanted to make sure that whatever we recommended to you was something that you could get behind and feel comfortable with.
As I was looking at your sheet, touch point objectives, collaborate with probation officers and treatment providers to provide mentorship and support. And then Knox Public Health, their objectives was launch evidence-based programs, grief recovery method, helping children with loss, and I feel better now.
Yeah.
Conduct 3 to 4 community panel discussions on addiction, stigma, and mental health awareness. Install additional NALOX boxes to expand access to life-saving tools. And Knox County Head Start objectives demonstrate progress in the objective measures such as DECA-C screening tool and reduce behavior incidents in the classroom. And then Knox Health Planning Partnership, their goals and their outcome is fewer deaths, better wellness, and 70% that abstinence rates. But then, they're all different.
Correct.
So that's a good cast of a net for our community.
And they're all kind of different subsets of the population in Knox County. with
Yes,
this topic,
yes.
and it hits on all
And
areas.
I think they're things the public will understand.
Yes,
And I think, from our standpoint, probably the thing we struggle with the most is stigma. But I think opportunities like this help demystify what stigma is and the fact that mental health and prevention play a really important role in our community for the overall health. So I think people will understand this.
yes. Yeah, very good. And then, not to finish this discussion here, but the building out on Blackjack Road, you're saying that's coming along well, and that would be.
Too. And I can also give a couple other updates if that would be helpful.
That'd be great, yes.
So I am your Knox representative to Region 18. I sit on the board and I attended the board meeting last week, and I need to let everyone know that the second round of Ohio Foundation grants is getting ready to come out. That application will be released sometime in December. It will be due in January. And then we will be making decisions in February. It has a fairly tight turnaround time. So a couple things to know about that. Last time in the first round, our region that consists of 7 counties had a pot of $2.3 million. this go around, it's smaller. It's close to 1.9 million. And that includes about $26,000 that's a carryover or money that was not used from that first round of dollars that were awarded last year. So we have less money to work with. The other new guideline is last year, the foundation allowed applicants to choose 1, 2, or 3 years worth of consideration for their funding. This year, it's automatically 2 years, which I actually am in favor of. We actually had one applicant in accounting and looking that only asked for a year of funding, who I wish he had asked for at least 2, but he did not, and he was trying to be careful, and he was not used to doing applications like this. And we have since found a way to help continue that project locally. But there were, 79, 80 applicants for the last go around, so it will be highly competitive. To prepare Knox County, I think, and Lisa and I haven't had a chance to talk yet, I think probably we might want to consider sponsoring at least one type of office hours thing. But online, they're offering a lot of technical support. That they've offered webinars. Applicants can go back and begin to understand tips about how to apply and what makes for an acceptable application. So to let you know that's coming out. I will tell you, both Lisa and I were grant readers, and it was a really interesting process. We did not read grants. I didn't read any grants from Licking Knox. You didn't read any grants from Knox County. We learned a lot about other communities, and I know I had my favorite applications. I don't know if you did or not, but most of them, for me personally, were those that were not necessarily big professional organizations, but they were grassroots groups. Took a lot of time to understand what their community needed, what their families needed, what people needed to feel whole and okay again. And those were the ones that really spoke the most to me personally. So,
Yeah, to give some of the school programs that were,
yeah,
pilot programs that I think were.
yeah. So my very favorite was the School Navigator program coming out of Monroe County. That was just so cool.
So these 4 that we have here, someone else evaluated those for?
No, so
I'm sorry.
speaking to just the regional, so the statewide money, so Knox County has allocated their specific pot of money, and then we're part of Region 18. That is 7 different counties,
Right.
and
So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to confuse.
No,
so
that's
I'm
all right.
the grant,
Yeah.
I'm the grants chair for Region 18 as
Okay.
well. And then when it gets to the regional level, we choose not to read our own county's grants just for bias purposes.
Okay.
Otherwise,
Swap back and
otherwise the 3 of us took a look at this.
Yeah.
Yes,
We
yes.
felt comfortable doing this.
Yeah.
Good.
So I think we're very committed as much as we can without having a conflict of interest, supporting local organizations and groups that would want to apply for those regional dollars. Again, they're very, very competitive. And so we do have some concerns about that, but we will do what we can to be helpful.
Okay,
Okay.
so help me unclear my.
I know it.
So what you talked about on the 1.9 million,
Yeah,
and this first round was 2.3 million?
yeah, the first one.
Okay, so are these part of coming out of that? That's a separate.
No.
This is our
deal?
direct allocation of money that we
Okay.
receive. That is the part that goes to the state channels down to
Okay.
each region.
Yeah.
So did anybody in Knox County get any of that 2.3 money?
Yep,
Yes.
New Directions got some money, they got 100,000, I believe.
Yeah,
Kenyon got some research funds. Is that the only direct Knox County?
and
I think there were a couple that were split, like in Knox
Okay.
County.
Yeah,
Okay.
so there were some, so there were some region-wide grants that were made, and one of them was for recovery housing. So recovery housing operators are not in that business to make money. Their bread and butter comes predominantly from grants coming into them. Sometimes individuals living in recovery housing, eventually when they're well enough, start paying rent, particularly when they're working. That's part of the model. If you live in a recovery house, you slowly begin to gain more independence as you're working through your recovery from addiction. And the idea is that you find a job if you're able to work, and then you start doing things like paying taxes, and you work towards eventually, you know, finding your own place to live. Although there are some people that live the rest of their lives in recovery houses, most people move out. The two things that recovery housing operators have a really hard time finding funding for are things like training their staffs and making sure that their staffs understand recovery and how to manage a house safely, and repairs. And so two of the region-wide foundation grants to 18 allowed ORH, which is Ohio Recovery Housing, the opportunity to have some funding to assist our local providers of recovery housing with those two supports that they otherwise have a really hard time finding. So just to let you know.
Yeah, good. So Jason, then do we need then to proceed with a motion? For
Yeah,
this
you could award these, and then, Lisa, are they doing like a grant up or a agreement or anything on these?
Yes, so I have a grant agreement that they will have to virtually sign off on. And then once that's complete, I just need to work with someone because you have the dollars, so.
Right.
I can
Yeah,
get all
think
the
if you
information
probably
to
give
you.
me copies of those,
Yep.
and then we'll be able to release funds.
Mhm.
But I think, yes, you could go ahead and plus these four, so we have a resolution that you're agreeing to fund these with the local One Ohio funds.
Motion to approve these.
So all those in favor say aye. Okay, so we are ready to go ahead and, you know, proceed with that.
I will send out their approvals today.
Okay.
Thank you for your hard work, lady.
Yes, we
Thank
do
you.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Want to thank the foundation and Lisa for their generosity and their expertise about how to do this. I think that made a huge difference.
Yeah.
And it really
We're
did.
happy
Thank
to
you
help.
very, very much.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yes, thank you. And is there anything else you need to apprise us of?
The only other thing I can say is we found out late last Friday that we had written an additional grant for Ohio, to the state of Ohio for more funding for addiction treatment. And we cited 3 programs at the Freedom Center that had been funded by federal dollars, and when those federal grants ended in August, that we had no way of funding those programs. We were granted the funding last Friday, so we were very, very excited for that.
Yes.
Yeah. So sometimes things work.
Good. Well, good job.
Yeah, so
Appreciate that.
we're pleased with that.
Great job.
Thank
I'll
you
see
so
you again.
much.
I'll see you on the 12th,
Yeah.
yes, and that will be an adventure too, I'm sure.
Yes, if you just send me the grant, once they sign
Okay.
it, then we'll
That would be good.
take it from there. Yeah,
Okay.
yep.
And I'll send you reports in 6 months, so you guys know how it's going.
Yeah, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
And again, if you have any questions, please let us know, any concerns.
Yeah.
And this is well done. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Enjoy your drive back.
Oh, I will, and I'm looking forward to it. It's probably the quietest time I have is in the car. I've literally learned to appreciate that
Yes.
quiet and that restful time.
Yes.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Wonderful today.
You too.
All right, we just have a couple of resolutions. We need to authorize Bethany Summer, Transit Director, to execute and file Ohio Department of Transportation grant documents.
Motion to approve.
I second it.
Those favors say aye.
All right. And then Jeff sent down the certification and collection for delinquent water and wastewater accounts to the Knox County Auditor. This is just nothing for you to sign, but just approved for us sending it down to the auditor's office.
So there were 10 households on that
Yeah.
list. Make a motion.
Motion to approve.
I second it.
Those favors say aye.
All
All
right.
right.
And then we have one item to add, which is the utility permit. This is for Energy Co-op, and this is on Frederick County, Emily Road in Berlin Township.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Those favors say aye. Aye.
And I think we have just a couple transfers for the engineer, and then your bill list assigned.
And then we could start giving people a heads up, since we had Bethany on here, that On the 18th is when we're going to have a ribbon cutting and for our vehicles on the back side of our building. And then Jason, you say our back of our building, this the service center here will
Yes,
be
it'll be
open
open to
on
the
Monday.
public beginning Monday at 7 o'clock. It'll be open to the public. Yes.
We still don't have the handicap doors openers for
No,
them.
that'll be good. They're going in today. So
Okay.
just the door swipes, the
Okay.
automatic door swipes won't be in until the end of next week, but the building will be open Monday. This coming Monday, the 10th. Yep.
Yeah,
Andrew, you can take that off the website too, that we,
Right.
and then on it's been on there. long.
There's some
So you can
marching
take that off.
orders. Yeah,
Yeah.
been pinned on our Facebook page since that
Yeah.
long through.
yeah, good. And then Andrew, are you able to put this information on our website?
Absolutely, yeah.
So if people want to get into more details, I'll have that. And Barry, you have anything you want to share besides telling people to go vote?
Everybody needs to go vote. Today's the day.
Yes, it is.
Exercise your right.
Brenda, anything?
I just second that.
Okay, if there's no other thing, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, and we stay. Everyone have a go vote. Be happy voters.